Um,
Hey everybody, how you doing? Riquet Caballero, Cuban Libertarian in the house. Welcome to another edition of Somos English.
yes, and we have two very, very special guests with us tonight, Riquet. You actually introduced me to them. You found them on, I don't know where you found them. I think either on Facebook or YouTube. Where did you find
That's
them?
right. They made a very moving video on Facebook
Yeah,
regarding the San Isidro movement, and
yeah,
I fell in love. So I had to, show
yeah.
everybody.
So I'm gonna just go ahead and bring them in because
Mhm,
I
mhm.
I think they want to be part of this party. Hi, ladies.
Hey,
Hello, everybody. Thanks so much for having us.
There seems to be a little bit of a feedback.
on your mic. Are you guys using Bluetooth or eh,
We're using the Bluetooth, but it should work.
Mm,
yeah, those are AirPods. I don't know why, but it's coming in garbled.
yeah, somebody's is not, and I know I was okay because I was just
Hold on,
yeah.
let me mute myself maybe.
Oh, sorry. Okay. Can you ladies hear us now?
Yes, we can.
Oh, good. Okay.
Perfect.
Perfect.
Perfect. It works.
It works. Okay. So,
Yes.
uh, ladies, thank you for accepting our invitation. First of all, thank you for your wonderful music. I actually started this video with a Somos Mas introduction because it's part of what we do. But I really wanted to go into your website and do a little bit of a video clip from your new album, which is awesome. If you guys don't mind, do you mind sharing that with our audience?
Of course.
Oh,
Of course.
Okay. So that's just what I'm going to do. I'm going to go ahead and go in here and because I think it's just so beautiful, and I'm going to try and see and let me see. Let me share screen. And then I got to do this and bear with me because today I kind of learned all this new technology. And I'm hoping there it is. Yes.
Hey.
Okay.
Iyatawa michala micha, iyatawa michala micha, miyare ora miya michala micha, michala micha, michala micha, iyatawa michala micha, iyatawa michala micha, miyare ora miya michala micha, michala micha, michala micha. Well, some people is surprised for when they can see the whole video. Let's just leave them with wanting to go back and listen to it.
Wow. So that, I mean, wow. When I heard that just took my breath away. That
Oh,
it really mixed everything about our culture. I love jazz as it is, and I love our African background. I was I was born in Cuba, but I came when I was 9 years old to the United States. But I've always loved our African backgrounds, and you guys have put that fusion of those two things that I love in music together, and I just felt
yeah. Also, there is the resemblance of our Spanish background too, because the Guajiras come
yeah,
from the Spanish side of our heritage as well.
yeah,
So we're trying to blend all of that from our African side and our Spanish side, because we in Cuba we have a little bit of everything.
Let me ask you something. Over you mixed African rhythms with something else, like is that a son montuno? I'm not sure. What did you
That's a
put in there?
Guajira, which is a genre
Guajira.
eastern
Okay.
side of Cuba. Yes,
yes.
Okay, excellent.
So which one is Elizabeth?
I am Elizabeth.
Okay. So you were born in Havana, and you are the violinist.
Yes, I am, and I was born in Havana.
What part of Havana?
That's a fun.
That was coming.
Laughing is because she never lets me forget where I come from, because I was born in one of those neighborhoods that are not the finest neighborhoods. So I was born in Los Sitios, and every time we perform, she introduces me like, "I'm from Los Sitios."
Yeah.
So,
Well, I'm Reyla, so hey, we're even.
In here, like they're from Havana and from Vedado. Yes, right.
Yeah.
I worked my way up there, and then I end up having an apartment in Vidal. Okay.
Good for you. So, Magdelis, you are from Santiago de Cuba, where I mean, that's where music is at its best, right? I mean, we always hear about Havana, but people don't know the history of Santiago de Cuba and the music. I live in Charleston, South Carolina.
Ooh.
And we had during Spoleto week, we have here in Charleston, we have a Spoleto festival, and once a year. This past year we didn't do it because of COVID, but once a year we have a Spoleto week, and they always bring a Cuban group or a Cuban artist to perform. And one time they brought the Turquillo from Santiago.
Yeah.
Yes, and they brought oh my God, el grupo the danza. Oh, and it's gonna come to me.
Is it Kutumba, Folclórico Kutumba, or Folclórico Oriente?
No, they're from Havana. They're from Havana. Very, very famous. I'll find it now. But anyway, we went to their show. My husband waited for them after we're like, this is who we are. We're Cubans. We waited for them until they left, till they came out of their show, and we invited all of them to our home the next day. And they're like, but we don't fit anywhere. We're like too many people. It's a whole group and a whole group of dancers and a whole group of musicians. And we're like, well, yeah, we'll get you here. So we rented a van and we brought them over, and they had a wonderful time in our house. So
nice.
Yes. So just the reason for this interview is because your Facebook Live, you spoke about San Isidro, and we're here. The reason why we started these English, debates and these English Facebook Lives is because, as you know, there are many Facebook Lives, but all in Spanish, mostly about what is happening in Cuba. But we need to spread the word about what's happening in Cuba to not just the Cubans, but to everyone. You're in Canada and we're in the U.S. And just like you said in your video, you said, Cuba is not just about tourism and beautiful beaches, because we do have some of the best beaches and some of the most beautiful palms in the world. But it's not just about that. Unfortunately, there is a whole world that the tourist does not see. And so this is why we're doing this type of, a program, so that people can actually understand the reality of Cuba. And, the Cuban regime has done a very good job at doing good propaganda, at, putting their best face to the world. And we need to start doing good propaganda at showing them what the truth really is. Yeah. And, I'm very proud of our young adults, and especially our artists. I'm so glad that this has come out of the artist side of our young people that have decided to speak up and say, enough is enough. You're breaking our, not just forget about, this is not about communism or democracy. This is our human rights. We have the right to speak up. We have the right of movement. They're, keeping them inside jails or keeping them even inside their homes and not letting them go out. That is a human right that they are breaking, that the government is breaking. And we want the world to know that this is happening in our country.
Exactly.
And we are so proud of people like yourselves, because you're so young and you're speaking up about it. So I'm going to stop speaking now. Because I can go on forever, but I'm going to turn the microphone over to you girls. And I want you to tell the world how you feel, number one, because I know a lot of people don't understand what's happening and why it's happening, and number two, how you feel about what's happening. Please.
So thank you so much for the invitation once again. My name is Elizabeth Rodriguez, for the ones that are joining it now, and we have a band named OKAN. We live in Toronto, Canada right now. We immigrated to Toronto in different years. We actually met here. I've been outside of Cuba since 2013, Max since 2014. And the most important thing here is that people understand that the situation in Cuba, even for every Cuban that lives in a different part of Cuba, is different. I'm saying this because since you mentioned that I'm from Havana, Max is from, we call her Max. Max is from Santiago. Our experiences in Cuba are actually completely different just because of that fact. The fact that she had to immigrate to Havana and become an
immigrant.
An immigrant, but also the country.
Yes.
In Havana, we were talking about this yesterday with some friends. the fact that we have had this feeling of freedom in every single step. Like for me, was when I received my green card, because I lived in the States for a certain time. So when I received my first green card, I was like, oh my God, like I'm legal, like I can do these things and I can take on the world. For Meg, started in Cuba, when she had her first carnet identidad with the address from Havana. So just the fact that in a country happened, things like that happen, like the fact that just being born in certain place, no one can imagine in the United States or in Canada or any other place that you're born in a city that is not the capital, and you cannot go to your capital and make your way or work or do anything. Like you were illegal. So in a country when things like that happen, you cannot even start to just the conversation to think about anything, a future or absolutely anything, when you have no right to be in places, the place that you were born. So they deny you rights right there at the very beginning. Basic rights. And the fact that they hide the truth. My experiences as an immigrant was actually a little bit different than Mag's as well, because I remember wanting to travel the world and go back to Cuba. I wanted to make money and go back to Cuba. And then I got here and I started reading and I started watching videos about the real Cuba and getting all of this information that, of course, Cubans don't have there. Back then, also, there wasn't internet like there is right now. And I remember being like shocked, because I always knew that there was things that it was something wrong and there were horrible things happening, and I was fighting and I was already like getting in trouble with certain people. But actually knowing the truth and realizing that they hide absolutely everything from us in plain sight, it felt so horrible. And I felt betrayed, and I felt that I couldn't go back to a place where all those things happen. So San Isidro is the last, I would say, this is the last hope that Cubans just got in a long time. For a long time, there hasn't been anyone in that country that will step up and say, you know what, I'm taking the risk. Because a lot of people have been doing that. Like, for example, Los Aldeanos, and like all of us somehow, like the reason why McGillis has a refugee status in Canada is because she fought in Cuba too, and she got in trouble while she was at INTA. She can tell that story very soon. But at some point, they make you leave. They make you, and it's not that you don't care. It's just that you're, you know what, I cannot fight this, because you cannot trust anyone around you, or you don't know how you're going to do this. So the fact that a group of people, a different group of people, got together and started thinking of how are we going to do this? Let's use internet and show the world how peacefully we are actually just showing the truth about Cuba without us having to do actually nothing.
Right.
Because they haven't done anything. They're just sitting at home, and they were peacefully in a house doing absolutely no threat. There was no threat to anybody. And the government showed the entire like wrath that they have, like just taking them out of there with that, you know, so ferocious. So they show their face, and that group of people deserve our support and our help.
Yes. It doesn't mean that no one else have been done this fight before in Cuba. I mean, for years, we have UNPACU, we have Damas de Blanco, like we have so many organizations that actually fight. They've been fighting for years. Joanny Sanchez, like so many others, and artists who, like, at the end of the day, they just left. And they just moved to the States, Spain, or here in Canada. And it's very sad that you have to leave your hometown, you have to leave your home country, because you cannot, there's a point where you cannot get any more beaten up. You know what I mean? Like there's a day like you've been getting beaten up every single day, every time you walk on the street with your signs saying like down with the Castros, and then people come right at you, but that you know that these people are not the norm, the regular your neighbors. You know, like you know that these people are just people from the police and from the government dressed up as civilians.
Yeah, so we actually have another situation where right after San Isidro, what happened after San Isidro, where they went in, a young man, also in another part of Cuba, in Havana, I believe, he had a sign up saying, and now they are accusing him of terrorism.
Oh yeah, of course, because it goes against everything they think of old people.
I don't know where else in the world you would get accused of terrorism for putting up a sign that says, you know, we want to be free.
Yeah, well, it happens. It happens. It happens.
China, Iran, North Korea.
Yeah, exactly all of those countries, and all of those countries are friends with Cuba. So,
and then they try to tell the world that they are not communist. And one of my biggest concern, as an American citizen and as a mother of young children, because I see you girls as my daughters, like you could possibly, my oldest daughter is 30 years old, so I'm sure, you know, my daughters, and one of my biggest concern is that little by little socialism and communism is penetrating in different parts of the world, including the United States. And I know people are saying, you Cubans are crazy. You know, we've been talking about this for over a year, you know, but all we get back is this is never going to happen here in the United States, and you Cubans are crazy. How do you feel about
this? It is important to note, guys, it is important to note that socialism and communism is not the same. And it's also important to look at countries like Finland, Denmark, Canada, that has some social parts of the government that are related to this, you know, socialists, because it's important. This is a conversation that I always want to have with Americans, with Cuban Americans that say socialism. And I'm like, guys, it is not the same. And it's also, it's important to know how it works in other countries. I am not saying that it's perfect, and I'm not saying that socialism it's perfect, and I'm not even getting there, but it's also important to know the difference in between those two. And it is important to realize that the United States and many countries should have programs, because they do have the money, should have programs that are, and in America have.
But the issue is we do have socialist programs. We have many programs that are for people that cannot afford certain things. And listen, I agree, and I am one of those people that fights for, you know, equal opportunities for women, and I fight for a lot of things, you know, a lot. There's a lot of work to be done, but there's a fine line between, you know, fighting for causes and becoming completely socialist, and that is where we
draw the line.
Very careful.
You gotta look at it this way, in my opinion.
That's what we try to say all the time.
In order to have social programs, you need to produce Cuban dictatorship. You need to produce things in order to tax people. If you can't get blood from a stone
without producing, not like you want to do now,
or tax them without anything that they did not have. Like now, they new laws that they want you to pay for you didn't do anything. You didn't get me that job. Why do I have to pay you taxes of that job that you didn't get me?
Right.
It's not gonna happen. And that happens to every musician. Like all of those musicians that you see outside of Cuba, actually the
Empresa, how do you say, like the agency?
the agency that is mandatory, by the way. You cannot be
No,
an
there's no such
independent artist.
there's no such
which
a
is
thing.
the problem that
There's no such thing as an open or free
No.
or free agent. Right.
No,
Okay.
that doesn't exist. So if you want to travel, you have to go through the agency, and the agency takes 56% of your taxes,
If you're
of
lucky.
your income. Yes,
If you're lucky.
if you're lucky, or
And now you have to pay another 4% according to the new laws.
the new laws. Just they're saying that those are for Cubans that live in Cuba, but they go outside for conferences and like things that they go outside and get paid.
No, I read the law. I read the law. That's not what the law states.
Exactly. The woman at Mesa Redonda was the round table was saying that this is what is actually going to happen. And then, no, but that's not what the law says. What are you talking about?
I read the law. That is not what it's saying. The law says stipulates that anyone that is a Cuban citizen, which means that if you go back to your country within the 24, months time period, and you keep your Cuban citizenship, and any money that you make outside of Cuba, you have to pay a 4% income tax on that money.
Well, you know what? I think the ladies will also, what is it now? Will pay for the electricity of their family in Cuba, their electricity bill.
Pay utilities as well. So we are the gusanos or worms. So we are called many, many, many names.
Well, I was one of the first gusanos because I was a Margarita.
They don't want, the guy that they put in power doesn't want the name calling anymore.
Yes, he
So
said
he's-
don't call them
Yeah.
names anymore, because I think he knows that we need to pay those bills now. So he
It's
doesn't want.
ridiculous. It's just
now they need to respect.
the main problem here, and every single Cuban knows it. Even come on, if you are smart, you don't even need to be so bright. Everybody needs that. All they need to do is leave power. That's it. That's it. Nobody's talking about the states taking over Cuba. Nobody is talking about that. Oh, we should annex. They're talking about those colonial sort of words now, like annexionismo.
They're confusing us with Puerto Ricans. I
Right.
think that's what it is.
And-
Because we're
This is
super nationalist. We love Cuba and we want to be Cuban.
Leave.
this
And
is
we
what
have-
so
and we
important.
have many good Cubans inside and outside of Cubans that are very intelligent and very willing and very able to.
My dear,
Yes.
it would take a long, long time, because that the mind of Cubans are poisoned by suffer and anger and frustration and hunger and all these calamities that have been going on for so many years. So to get rid of those things,